That would certainly be convenient, since I wouldn't need to replace the brake pads, but I doubt they're going to magically appear just because they follow some of the laws of physics. In fact, it would seem that a set of brakes magically appearing out of nothing would violate the laws of physics.
Yes, it does.
Hawking says, quote, bodies such as stars and black holes cannot just appear out of nothing,
exactly,
but a whole universe can. That's his quote, by the way. He says the universe will create itself from nothing.
Because now there is a universe. Notice how it's different. The circumstances are different.
And even the everything we think we have found is only about 4% of all the stuff, of which 96% is dark matter and dark energy, according to physicists who have so far.
Little thing, because everyone seems to fucking says, all the creationists and fundies and fucktards seem to say, oh, we think we only know 4%. There is a damn near infinite amount of shit out there. If we were to know 4% of an infinite amount, we would know an infinite amount of things. Yeah. Because a percentage of an infinite is in of itself still an infinite. Therefore, go fuck yourself, fuck your percentile, and rape a dog.
Far failed to find any of it, by the way. Now, this idea that something can be created out of seemingly nothing isn't actually far-fetched as long as there's some input involved, energy, for example.
So wait, he's saying it's actually possible now.
What?
Consistency. What is that?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
How much more?
If energy is entered into the equation as the causal force behind the Big Bang, then there's a reasonable explanation for how the Big Bang might have come about.
And
essentially, the rational explanation is that God, or a sufficiently advanced aliens...
a possible explanation. We don't know for a fact that no energy was added from some external source. In fact, there is this idea that the universe is actually a black hole in another universe, and things being created are simply things falling into the black hole. In other words, energy being added from the outside. I don't personally believe that, but it's consistent with what we observe. At least to my knowledge.
Civilization sprouted the Big Bang by injecting a tremendous amount of energy into a single point in multi-dimensional space, and we are now the inhabitants of a giant ant farm experiment the size of the whole universe. This is actually one of the most promising explanations for the origin of our universe. The other leading explanation, and I'm not kidding, is that our universe exists as a grand simulation operating inside a highly advanced computing system of some sort, belonging to an alien race of beings that is billions of years more advanced than we are. There is actually some serious evidence to support this notion. Planck's constant seems to hint at a physical resolution.
It is indeed consistent with what we observe, yes. You see how there are different ideas that are all consistent, and therefore we say we don't know. However, this simulation thing, I'm gonna call Occam's razor on this one.
Limit of the apparent physical universe, where objects and energies are quantized in much the same way as pixels on a display monitor in our modern computing world. There's also the fact that the closer you begin to look at matter and energy, the more it all appears to be made of computations. What we believe to be physical matter is actually little more than an organized wave of probability computations.
What does that
mean? Do you even know what that means, Mike?
I don't.
Of course not.
Right, there we go.
Make it make sense.
Make the stupid go away.
A fact that becomes more apparent the more closely we examine what matter is made of. This grand computer simulation explanation also explains God rather nicely. An all-powerful, omniscient intelligence that presides over the universe. That would, of course, be the programmer of the simulation.
Hold on. Let's accept the simulation hypothesis just for the sake of argument. How does it follow that the programmer is omnipotent?
Yeah, and also, if this is all being simulated, what was it Mike was saying about free will earlier? Wouldn't
Oh yeah, he was saying that.
wouldn't that really
yeah,
make us
that-
the
that would
programmed,
be-
mindless robots of the simulation?
Also, can I just make a quick
Fuck me.
point? Programmers constantly, when they're writing out code or, you know, using script and they put it in, very, very often, weird shit they don't understand just happens.
Yes.
They're called glitches and bugs, and they have to be patched. So if this fucking guy, this god, this omnipotent being created everything, then life and free will is just another glitch that needs to be patched out according to Mike Adams. Well done, you failed your own logic, you fucking retard.
Right.
Simulation we now inhabit. There is no logical reason why God himself could not be an emissary from a highly advanced alien civilization that created our universe as
An emissary.
Evidence, Mike.
I'm tempted to quote DS9 when he said emissary, but I'm not going to defile the memory of the
He's
Cisco
not-
with that. I don't want
Yeah.
Ben Cisco associated with that. That would just tarnish so many good things for me.
as a curious experiment. In fact, such a scenario fits nicely with the widely accepted definition of God, a being beyond the stars, who created the universe, and who presides over it with seemingly endless power. God is to our universe as you are to the characters in Sim City. The little sim beings of Sim
And this again, do the SimCity folk have free will or consciousness? Because this just buggers up your argument completely from earlier, Mike.
Also, can I just
Go
point
home,
out-
Mike. You're drunk.
I just want to say that the Sims in SimCity don't have free will. They can't go beyond the edges of the map. They always follow the set routine. The only thing that even resembles free will is when they decide to not eat and just die. And you know what that's
SimCity
They
called?
would
are
only
not
do
conscious
because they're programmed to every now and then. So it
Yeah.
still doesn't fly.
beings.
But I
as
was
you-
going to say that even that, if it wasn't meant to happen, guess what it's called? A glitch!
True. But what I think is funny here and what needs to be addressed here is that I'm not actually arguing against this. I don't think there's. I think
it's unlikely.
I think it's unfalsifiable. I'm not sure about that, but here's the thing. The reason I would reject it as a reasonable option compared to the black hole in another universe idea, or the universe coming from nothing, or a previous universe collapsing, or whatever, is simply Occam's razor. We have to presuppose the existence of this external reality that, where there is intelligence, and they created a computer that runs this simulation. That's why I have a problem with it.
Yeah. We're almost there, guys.
Are people in the chat? I just want to say, are people in the chat having a discussion as to whether or not DNA is a
You are,
language?
but if you
No,
can
let's
imagine
just
them
leave
have
that and
consciousness,
focus on this.
it's not hard to see how amazed they would be at the miraculous powers of you, their God from above, who can spontaneously create buildings out of nothing. Now, if one of your
Yeah.
SimCity citizens
Stop.
were to look at you during the
There's a big difference here. We know that the Sims, have a god. Because we are looking at them from our perspective. So
Also,
it's not the same situation.
I just want to throw something in here. He's saying that creating something from nothing. No, you're creating a set list of items using a specific currency in the game. If you don't have the currency or the items, shit don't just pop into existence.
Let's carry on. And 559, we're glancing at the chat now and again. We're just trying to concentrate on this and get it over with.
During the game, actually speak to you and say, I realize I'm in a simulated game and I'd like to get out, climb out of the monitor and see the world from your point of view, that would be the SimCity equivalent of enlightenment. That is probably how some transcendent meditation masters appear to the actual creators of our universe.
Huh?
But if an advanced alien civilization gave rise to our universe, either as a grand computer simulation or as a, quote, real phenomenon sprouted out of nothing through the Big Bang, then why would such an intelligence stop at merely one universe? If God is all-powerful, in other words,
as long as we're
then
making up
clearly
shit
he's powerful
right now,
enough to
why
create
not?
more than one universe.
He's not.
It
just
follows then
jumped the
that
shark,
a
he's
sufficiently
moved the
advanced
bridge.
alien civilization, or God, if you will,
Yep.
would seed multiple universes in much the same way that we might seed a flower bed with a handful of seeds.
Get
Each
it?
one of those universes, which I will now call multiverses to avoid confusion of the term universe,
Oh, he came up with the term multiverses all by himself, didn't he?
As if no one had ever thought of it before.
Multiverses plural?
I don't think he understands what multiverse or what multi means, so I think we should just, of all the things to focus on, multiverses is not one of them.
which must encompass everything, might experience a Big Bang with slight variations in the laws of physics.
Yes.
In some multiverses, for example, Planck's constant is a smaller number, giving rise to a higher resolution of matter in that multiverse. In other
What's that
multiverses,
higher
the atomic
resolution of
weight of
matter?
hydrogen might be slightly different, drastically altering the development of stars, planets, black holes, and other
Yes, if things
cosmological
are different,
phenomena.
it'd be different.
Yeah, it
In a few
sounds
of
like
those multiverses,
he's
conditions
taking
would be
ideas
just right
from
to
some
support the
physicist who
development of
wrote a
galaxies, stars,
a bunch of popular science books explaining things like this. What was his name? I think he was in a wheelchair. Robot voice.
Kind of forgotten him. I haven't heard of him for ages.
planets
Neil
that
deGrasse Tyson?
also support life. And on some of those planets, conditions would be just right for the development of carbon-based biological life as we know it here on Earth. It is those planets that would merit special attention from the advanced alien intelligence, it seems, because, well, life is interesting. And for what other purpose would there be to create a series of multiverses in the first place, if not to examine life?
Well,
Life is interesting stuff, and life on Earth is undoubtedly
only
just one case of...
Stop. If you wanted to create a universe that does nothing but expand and form black holes, it's probably for the purpose of watching it expand and form black holes.
Also, did he literally just say, because aliens?
Yes.
And that fridge is flying away in a mushroom cloud.
Carrying Dr.
among
Jones
countless
to
other
possibly many
life-supporting
really
planets
broken
across not merely our galaxy and not only our multiverse, but potentially countless other multiverses which are beyond our present ability to even describe, much less detect or explore. All we really know is that we exist in a matrix of laws and rules of nature, and that we have somehow been granted a degree of self-awareness necessary to pull ourselves out of ignorance and toward the ultimate goal.
Go on, please say
That
wake
goal
up.
is as self-evident as consciousness itself.
Just-
To finally understand who we are, how we came to exist, and what our purpose is for
Dramatic
being
music.
here, if any. To know ourselves, in other words.
Stop.
Because the real grand design goes...
That's our goal.
To know
And
ourselves.
we don't have a choice about it.
Does he mean to know ourselves in the biblical way?
Or does
We've
he
all-
mean just to explore
Yeah,
our
we've all
abilities?
pretty much done
Didn't
that.
this idiot rant on about how he thinks we have free will, and now he's saying that we all have the same goal, which is specifically what he believes is our goal? What?
Can I just say that if he's saying that our objective is to know ourselves, he's either talking about through deep thought and inner turmoil, we have to figure out just what makes us special, what makes us an individual, what makes us brilliant, or he's telling us to know ourselves.
Right. Come on. Can't be long.
goes far beyond merely figuring out the mathematics behind the fabric of reality. It is a design of consciousness,
What does
of
that
connection, and of limitless power to influence all that
What
is
are
through the
you
power
talking
of our
about?
minds. As we were created in
presented
His
no
image,
evidence supporting
we
that
each possess
whatsoever.
a fraction of the power of God, a slice of omniscient, conscious godliness. We have only forgotten our connectedness.
We have not
and
established that a
been fooled
God
into thinking
exists.
we are separate from each other and the world around us. The ultimate answers may already exist within us,
What
if
does
we
that
find
mean?
the courage to look within rather than focusing our questions on the world out there. Because quantum physics now tells us what we find in the universe around us is merely a
No,
reflection
stop.
of what we are within.
Please take an introductory course in quantum mechanics, you jackass.
No, not quantum mechanics. Just take an introductory course in continuity. Because he started off by saying
Oh,
quantum
that too.
mechanics is silly. Then he said free will exists. And then he said simulation. We're all being programmed. Then he said God. Then he said we all have the exact same goal in life. And then he said some bullshit about needing to not understand the world, but ourselves. And you know what my response is? Shut up. Grab a fucking book that isn't a Bible, sit down, and fucking read it.
And don't think that you know shit just because you've
Thank
read
you
a
for
popular
listening.
science
This
book.
is Mike Adams, founder of DivinityNow.com,
It's over.
a website about conscious
It's over.
cosmology. Please join me there for more explorations of consciousness, quantum physics, philosophy, the power of the mind, and the nature of reality.
And I do believe
If you can
is
learn
over.
one single thing
It is
about quantum
over.
mechanics on that website, I will eat my microphone. A universe! Notice how it's
Once nothing,
different. The
there was suddenly
circumstances are
everything.
different.
And even the
Oh.
everything we think we have found is only about 4% of all the stuff, of which 96% is dark
Oh my
matter and dark
fuck,
energy,
I really
according to
want to address
physicists
this
who have
quick
so far.
little thing. Because everyone seems to fucking says, all the creationists and fundies and fucktards seem to say, oh, we think we only know 4%. There is a damn near infinite amount of shit out there. If we were to know 4% of an infinite amount, we would know an infinite amount of things.
Yeah.
Because a percentage of an infinite is in of itself still an infinite. Therefore, go fuck yourself, fuck your percentile, and rape a dog.
far failed to find any of it, by the way. Now, this idea that something can be created out of seemingly nothing isn't actually far-fetched as long as there's some input involved, energy. That would certainly be convenient, since I wouldn't need to replace the brake pads, but I doubt they're going to magically appear just because they follow some of the laws of physics. In fact, it would seem that a set of brakes magically appearing out of nothing would violate the laws of physics.
Yes.
It does!
Hawking says,
We know
quote,
that.
bodies such as stars and black holes cannot just appear out of nothing,
Exactly.
but a whole universe can. That's his quote, by the way. He says the universe will create itself from nothing.
Because now
Where there was
is
once,
a...
for example.
So wait, he's saying it's actually possible now.
What?
Consistency.
He's-
What is that?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
How much more?
He's
If energy is entered into the equation as the causal force behind the Big Bang, then there's a reasonable explanation for how the Big Bang might have come about.
And
Essentially,
guess
the rational
what the
explanation
funny
is
thing
that
is?
God,
That
or a
is
sufficiently advanced
actually a
aliens,
possible explanation. We don't know for a fact that no energy was added from some external source. In fact, there is this idea that the universe is actually a black hole in another universe. And things being created are simply things falling into the black hole. In other words, energy being added from the outside. I don't personally